There's a liquid you can pour into a broken car engine, drop raw eggs into for an entire year, and brush onto pottery to make it look 300 years old. And it costs almost nothing. It's called sodium silicate, and most people have never heard of it. But it's hiding inside your laundry detergent, your concrete floor, and even your toothpaste. Sodium silicate goes by another name, water glass. And once you understand what it actually is, everything starts to make sense. Think of it as tiny particles of sand chemically bonded to salt. When you add water, those particles absorb it and form a gel. But here's where it gets interesting. The moment you dry that gel out and hit it with heat, it transforms into hard, clear glass. That's the whole trick. It flows like a liquid, but behaves like glass when it dries. In its dry form, it looks like ordinary table salt, a fine white powder that dissolves easily in water. But unlike salt, once it dries, it doesn't go back to powder. It locks into a solid sheet of silicon dioxide, which is pure glass. It's non-flammable, non-explosive, and non-toxic, though you don't want it on bare skin in its concentrated form because of its strong alkaline nature. Concrete plus construction. One of its biggest jobs is sealing concrete. Concrete looks solid, but it's actually full of tiny pores that let in water, grease, and oil over time. When you apply sodium silicate to a concrete surface, the particles are small enough to actually sink into those pores. Once inside, they react with a natural mineral in the concrete called calcium silicate hydrate, the same compound that gives concrete its strength in the first place. The result is a harder, denser surface that blocks liquids, stops dust, and resists damage. A simple mix of 1 part water glass to 4 parts water, applied in 2 or 3 coats, is all it takes. If you've ever seen a ceramic piece with that gorgeous, aged, cracked surface and wondered how it was made, this is how. Potters brush sodium silicate onto the outside of a freshly thrown piece while the clay is still wet. After just a few minutes, they stretch the walls outward. Because the outside is already starting to harden while the inside is still soft, the surface cracks and wrinkles in ways that look like the piece survived centuries. It's one of the most satisfying effects in ceramics, and it costs almost nothing to create. Sodium silicate also helps clay slip flow more smoothly in molds, and it's the main ingredient in a product called magic water, a simple mixture of water, liquid sodium silicate, and soda ash that potters use to weld pieces of clay together cleanly and permanently. Here's one people find hard to believe. If your car has a blown head gasket or a crack in the engine block, you can pour sodium silicate directly into the cooling system. As coolant flows through the crack, some of it escapes and turns to steam. That leaves behind tiny particles of liquid glass right inside the gap. The extreme heat in that area melts those particles together, and they fuse into a solid seal. It's not a permanent fix, but it buys time, and in some cases it actually works long-term for minor cracks. Adhesives, SUs, industrial uses. Because sodium silicate bonds incredibly well to porous surfaces, it's widely used as an adhesive for paper and cardboard. It holds fiber drums and paper tubes together during manufacturing. It's also used to bond wood, metal foils, glass, and insulation materials. Foundry workers use it to hold sand molds together when casting molten metal. Even welding rods are coated with it. This one sounds strange, but it genuinely works. Before refrigerators existed, people preserved eggs using water glass. You mix 1 part sodium silicate with 9 parts water, place unwashed eggs in a container, and pour the solution over them until they're fully submerged. Stored in a cool place, those eggs stay fresh for up to 12 months or longer. Some people still use this method today for long-term food storage. Sodium silicate is also in more everyday products than most people realize. In skincare and cosmetics, it helps control pH and acts as a buffer. In wastewater treatment, it pulls microscopic particles out of water by binding them into larger clumps that sink to the bottom. In the detergent industry, it protects metal parts inside washing machines from corrosion. Without it, synthetic detergents would eat through aluminum and zinc components. It even plays a role in making high-octane gasoline and refinery catalysts. Sodium silicate is one of those materials that's been around since 1640 and somehow still runs quietly in the background of almost every major industry. Construction, automotive, ceramics, food storage, cosmetics, oil refining, and more. It's cheap, it's widely available, and it does things that most materials simply can't. The next time you look at a sealed concrete floor, a crackle-glazed mug, or a bottle of laundry detergent, there's a good chance water glass had something to do with it.